Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you for joining me again. I'm back. This is Flash, and I have another Marvel Snap video. So today's video, I just wanted to get into some furthering the conversation about Nico. I've been playing a lot of Nico the past 2 days. Thank you for those few of you that came out and checked out my stream on Twitch. And that for once Nico was out, I was out on Twitch. Under the same, so whatever you got here is Gaming with Flash X. I'm Gaming with Flash X on YouTube, on Twitch. That's my username in Snap. So kind of across most of those important platforms there. So short about Nico, she's just good. Is Nico a meta-defining card? No, of course not. Is it just a good card in Marvel Snap that makes some things work better? You know, kind of contextually speaking, yes. The card is just good. It's good at what it does. It adds a level of diversity and some utility to a lot of decks that just need a slight extra tune. She works really well. And I have a couple of decks here that I built right before the start of Nico dropping into the game that I've tweaked and had different levels of success with, but I will share them here. And yeah, let's talk about these decks that I got here. All right, so I got a couple different ones that I've been working on. Don't mind this Thanos Nico Death one. It's kind of all in Nico Thanos Death build. I think it works though. Excuse me. And then I have, you know, a Thanos Nico control deck, which I put together. But the two I want to talk about here is the one of them that I think is just flat out good, and one that I think is fun, but can definitely get you some wins as long as you pilot it properly. Let's start with just good, right? So this is my Thanos control build with Nico. These are cards you've seen before. You have your standard Daredevil Professor X package. Just I don't, you know, I have Cosmo, okay? Just because, why not? I'm just a big fan of stopping my opponent from doing certain things, and Cosmo helps a lot with that, especially if you run into, I don't know, Loki, Destroy, which is why I have armor in here. You'll see a lot of that, especially a lot of people playing Nico right now. That's definitely something they want to be doing. They're putting her into Destroy decks. Heck, I've had games playing this deck where I've played an armor. I was able to, in armor in one lane, copy Cosmo and play it in the other two lanes. And I guess out of sheer pride, the Destroy player decided to finish the game. They didn't win. I think I got 4 or 8 cubes out of that one. I don't know what that was about, but take a quick run through this deck and how I pilot this deck. On turn 1, I either want to be looking to play a stone, because that's one of your only 1-drops, and Nico. Now, if your first spell that procs if you have Nico in hand is the demon spell, and like you have a space stone in hand or a mind stone or really any of those stones, you can play Nico on turn 1 into a stone on turn 2, just as long as it's not the time stone. Now you can play the time stone on turn 2 if you have Psylocke in hand. Okay, so that's what you want to be doing on turn 1. Turn 2, you want to be playing Daredevil, or you either want to play Daredevil, armor, Jeff, or 2 stones if you have them. Again, not the time stone unless you have Psylocke in hand. Okay, turn 3, you want to play Psylocke and a stone. Even if it's Psylocke and a time stone, if it's the only stone you have, play it, because you're not going to have much opportunity to play it later. Now, in some circumstances, based on your matchup, if you've played armor on 2, you might want to play Cosmo on 3. If you don't have Psylocke, and you don't have the time stone, here's your opportunity to play Cosmo, because again, you might not have another one later, and depending on your matchup, especially if it's like a Destroy deck, you usually know right away because destroy gets rolling on turn 1, and if they don't, they're way behind. As a destroy player, I know. So you want Cosmo on 3 if you don't have the Time Stone or Psylocke. If you've played Psylocke or any combination of her plus a stone or a Time Stone, turn 4, you're looking to play one of your 5s. Preferably, you want to be looking to play Professor X somewhere if you have him. Mind you, if you have a Time Stone or Psylocke and you've played it on turn 3 and you have Professor X in hand, now's a good time to snap. Just if you have the ramp ready and you can play into one of your big things, you can play into Professor X, now's a good time to snap, okay? But if you don't have Professor X, you can play any of those, Blue Marvel, Devil Dinosaur, or Claw. If you have, depending on what your space and what your board state is looking like, that's a natural, And on 5, you play another 5. Very simple. And then on 6, it depends. It really depends on what the board state is looking like. Sometimes you might have to play Blue Marvel and a stone. You might have to play, and preferably a stone that draws you other stones or draws you a card. If you have Devil Dinosaur on the board, that helps a lot. Or again, might just be Alioth. Alioth is a good end game play here. If you've locked out a location with Professor X and you're slightly even winning another location, even closely, Alioth is your play. Period. You're rarely playing Thanos as usual. If for whatever reason everything fell off the rails and you've played all your stones and Thanos is 20 power, then it's not a bad idea to play a 620 card. But usually if that happens, that's your emergency backup plan to everything else. And if that happens, you probably haven't snapped. And if your opponent does snap, you should get out of there, period. Has very simple play lines, this deck, and it has a lot of variety and a lot of different ways it can go, especially with Nico involved. But she just adds an extra level of utility that it didn't have before. As if the stones weren't enough utility, she adds so much more in just one card. So this deck is good. It can win you some games. I think it was 54% win rate. Look at the net cubes though, 23. Okay. So it's been higher at stints, but sometimes I also have to take into account that I play also a lot of my games on mobile. I've now started to play a lot on PC here as I've been making more content, but I play a lot of games on mobile. So you have to understand that some of these percentages are a little bit higher than because I do win a lot more games for some reason on my phone. I don't know why. So second deck. It's the Nico Elsa Miracle style deck. Now, when I first put this deck together, it had Thor and Jane Foster. And then I started to realize that was maybe a little overzealous for what I was trying to do. So I took them out. Now, it also had at one point Miles Morales. It didn't start with Miles Morales, but I had a good suggestion from guy that was in my Twitch stream, Lazy Cheesy, that hey, he just likes the Miles Morales card. I was like, yeah, let's toss it in here. It's fun. I've got 2 cards that are moving. Jeff is in pretty much every other deck in the meta. Let's try it. It worked for a few games. I'm not gonna lie, it did work for a few games, but I had to take it out. And I cut Jane Foster and Thor, and it was just clunky. Right? It was clunky a lot of the times. Thor arguably could go back in, but putting Thor without Jane Foster is dangerous. You're really relying on the RNG at that point. But looking at this deck, you're like, how does this win anything? But this is, I've won 8 cube games with this deck, because some people, they just don't see the output of power coming. And in all the games that I've played over the past 2 days, and I've been off and I've been playing a lot, over 100 or so games total over the last couple of days, I saw Wave once. And that's the only card that really brings this deck to a screeching halt. Otherwise, game on. Nobody's really playing any flood style decks right now, but nobody's playing wave. Okay, your tech cards are your usual tech cards that you're going to see people playing against you, Mobius, Luke Cage, etc. Nobody is playing wave right now. Maybe you see wave in a lot of your pocket meta, but wave is almost non-existent in mine. And of course, Mobius has a lot to do with that. Everybody's playing Mobius, so most people aren't playing wave. Here's what you want to do, as if it wasn't obvious. Now, Kitty wasn't in there initially, which I don't know why. That was stupid, but sue me. Kitty on turn 1. Now, if you have Wasp or Yellow Jacket, you don't usually want to play them until late, unless Nico can trigger the demon spell. If she has the demon spell ready to go, heck, I've played just earlier this morning, I played Nico on turn 1 and Wasp on turn 1 right behind her because she had the demon spell procced up. So I went Nico, Wasp, and then I had I had on turn 1 8 power on the board. So yeah, that's pretty strong. And it went into a Wakanda lane, so it was protected. So you can do Nico something on turn 1, maybe, depending on what you have in hand. Otherwise, your fallback is Kitty on turn 1. Turn 2, Elsa. If you draw Elsa, you're playing Elsa, period. Also, if you have Elsa in hand and you have Nico in hand on turn 1, and Nico's spell that's procced is the copy your next card played spell, play Nico on turn 1, please. Then you play Elsa on 2. Now you got another Elsa. Then you can play Elsa on 3 plus Kitty Pryde, or Elsa plus Nightcrawler, whatever. And then you see what we're doing here. Then you can start to go to town. Okay, this deck 3 cost is the highest cost, because you want to slam that hit monkey down on turn, sometimes on turn 5 you might have to just go hit monkey Mysterio. It works, sure, but I'd rather hold my hit monkey until turn 6. I want to do something like Yellow Jacket, Kitty, a Nightcrawler, hit monkey, and if I have another 0, then great. If I have Nico that I haven't played yet, that's great too, because that's all 6 power right there. I mean 6 energy, right? You gotta do a different combination of things here. Cosmo is great because it stops. I've needed the Cosmo to stop other players from. I've stopped the Loki. I've stopped destroy deck stuff. Cosmo is just great here, and he's low to the ground. This is a low to the ground. Vomit a bunch of stuff onto the deck and just have fun. Just go to town. Your opponent usually doesn't see this coming. Flood decks aren't overly popular right now, and those that are, people usually try to bridge it with Sarah, something like that, right? This has none of that. This is just kind of more straightforward. It's mostly protected from a lot of things because you got a couple 0-cost cards that can't get hit by anything. Also, fun fact, if you have Cosmo down, you can now play Yellow Jacket safely in that lane. That's a free 2 power that also helps build up your hit monkey on that last turn, which is why I like to save Yellow Jacket. Shadow King is just good. Shadow King is just good. Now, if you're playing against a destroy deck, be careful, because depending on what they're playing, they might throw something under the Cosmo. Usually, if you're playing against a destroy deck and you put armor and Cosmo down on the board at the right time, they're just going to retreat anyway. You're not usually going to get to a turn 6 against a destroy deck if you've played your tech cards properly. But again, Shadow King is here to help with cutting down those Carnage or a Big Venom or Deadpool or any of those opposing Kitty that they were playing with Elsa stuff and Bishop or Angela and all of these things. Shadow King takes care of. Now, of course, if they have Luke Cage, then bub kicks. Now, feel free to, depending on your meta, maybe you can sub out Shadow King for a Luke Cage or something like that. Who knows? But you don't really, the Luke Cage doesn't help you much unless you're going up against a hazmat style. I went up against that deck like once in the past 2 days, so it's not really out there like that. But you don't need to protect much from Luke Cage here in this deck, because you're not really, you know, doing a lot of build up that the opponent's going to be doing anything about until the last turn. Yeah, you may have been building up a kitty, but it's hard for them to hit that. It's very hard, okay? Like with a Shadow King, they have to guess really appropriately to take advantage of that. But again, armor also here to help protect your stuff. If you have, you know, you're playing armor, Nightcrawler or a kitty into an armor lane, that's great. Protect you against Killmonger and such. Like I said, a lot of destroying the meta. I like this deck. It's fun. It can win. It can sneakily win you a lot of games, and it's definitely a good time. It's definitely something fun to do in Marvel Snap. Something fun to do with Nico. You have good tech. You know, you have 3 really prominent good tech cards in the meta right now in Armor, Shadow King, Cosmo, and you have power build up with Kitty, Hitmonkey, Elsa. This deck sneakily wins a lot of games. So do with that information what you will. But those are 2 of the Nico decks that I've been having a lot of fun with. And I think that, like I said, the control one with Thanos is very good. I think it's just good. It can just win you a lot of games solidly, just outright. The Miracle style deck is fun. It's just fun. Those decks are just fun, and because there isn't a lot of wave in the meta, you can enjoy that fun now. And wave, I don't think will have a resurgence in the meta until Mobius, I don't know, takes a hit. If Mobius gets nerfed in any way, look for wave to come back. Okay, because that means people, whenever a card gets nerfed, people stop, whether it's reasonable or not, people stop playing that card for about a week till they figure out, oh wait, this card is still good, like we all did with Shuri. Well, not we, because I was still playing Shuri after the nerf, but cards get nerfed and people play hot potato with it for a week. Okay, but that's it. That's all I have for this video. Those are my couple of Nico decks. I hope you enjoy this content. Like I said, please like and subscribe. It goes a long way. Thank you to all the new subscribers I've had come in over the past, you know, week or so, the last couple of videos I put out. I appreciate you. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm Flash, and I'll catch you guys next time with another Marvel Snap video. Peace.